So let's look at the details of a couple of these finite state machines. So here, remember, we have a set of states that's finite. So here, what would the set of states be? It would be S1 and S2. So that would be the states, and we can see them. What are the inputs on this one? The inputs, remember, they're the labels on the arrows or the labels on the transitions. So the options for input are 0 and 1. So that's the set of inputs. Which one's the start state? Can you find it? It's going to be one of those states. It's S1 in this case. And then the transition function, we're not going to write all those out, but we can look at every one. If you're at S1 and the input is a 0, you're going to go to S2. If you're S1 and the input is a 1, you're going to stay at S1. If you're at S2 and the input is a 0, you're going to transition to S1. If you're at S2 and the input is a 1, you're going to stay at S2, or the output would be state 2. Okay, so that's what those transition functions are. And there we've described the details of this. Now, which one is the accepting state? There we saw the start state. What about the accepting state? Remember that some have these and some don't. In this case, the start state and the accepting state are the same. So S1 is an accepting state. Let's look at another one. Here's one. Now notice that these are going to be different, right? So the states are Q0, Q1, and Q2. So those are the states. What are the inputs? Well, the inputs are the labels on the transitions or the arrows. And in this case, they're A and B. Now there's lots and lots of finite state machines. So you can find them with lots of different sets of inputs, lots of different states. Can we find the start state? Sure enough, there's that arrow pointing at Q0. So there's Q0. Is there accepting state? Yeah, this particular one does have an accepting state, and that's Q1. Right? So we can do Q1 is an accepting state. And then the transitions functions are fully defined. Now, another thing, now let's look at a couple of things we can do with this. So we can look at an input string. So this input string will define what are the inputs and what order they are. So if we have an input string that's A, B, A, where will we end up? What state will we be in? So let's look at this. Let me see if I can get this to be down here so we can see it at the same time. So here we have, we always start at Q0, and we get an A, so we're back at Q0. We get another A, we're back at Q0. Now we get a B, we go to Q1. Now we get an A, we go to Q2. Now we get a B, we go to Q1. We get another B, we go to Q1. We get an A, we go to Q2. So where's our final state, or the state after this input sequence? We're at Q2. Is that an accepting state? It's not. So it doesn't follow the pattern defined, but we can follow these inputs and identify where we end up. If we had another string of inputs, so let's say it's A, B, B, A, B, let's see where we end up. Where do we start? Always at the start state, Q0. We do an A input, that keeps us at Q0. We get a B, we move to Q1. We get a B, we stay on Q1. We get an A, we go to Q2. We get a B, we go to Q1. There we go. Where did we end up after this series of inputs? We ended up in Q1. And is that an accepting state? That is an accepting state. So aren't these cool? Yeah, pretty straightforward how these work and how you move through them. Let's see if we can move through another one. Does this one look like we can go through this one? Okay, these ones have, what is our set of states? Q0, Q1, Q2. What are our set of inputs? 0 and 1. So if we follow a pattern of inputs, I'll just make it up as we go, and let's see what happens. All right, where we end up. So where do we start? At Q0, we get a 0, that leaves us at Q0. We get a 1, we go to Q1. We get another 1, we go to Q0. We get a 0, we stay on Q0. We get a 0, we stay on Q0. We get a 1, we go to Q1. We get a 0, we go to Q2. So where do we end up? We end up at state Q2. Is that an accepting state? It is not. And that's how finite state machines work. They have states, they have inputs, and you can transition from one state to another based on the input.